Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good
Waalaikumsalam
morning, everyone.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Welcome to today the fourth joint webinar on chemistry. I am Alvin, and I'll be the moderator. Respectable Head of Chemistry Department, Universitas Diponegoro, Professor Adi Darmawan, SSC, MSc, PhD, and Honorable all lecturer of the Chemical Science Program, University Science Malaysia, and Universitas Diponegoro, and the Honorable all participants of this webinar. Before we begin, I would like to give the floor to the head of the chemistry department, Universitas Diponegoro, to deliver the opening speech. Professor Adi Darmawan, SSC, PhD, the screen is yours.
Terima kasih, Alvin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Afternoon, everyone. Dr. Tan and every colleague from USM. I saw here Shafika, Dr. Anis, Dr. Anis, and everyone here. Today is the fourth webinar that we are we conduct for the collaboration between chemistry department, Diponegoro University, and School of Distant Education in USM, University of Science Malaysia. Today's topic is about organic chemistry, yeah, because many will discuss about Hyptis pectinata, and Dr. Tan will discuss about the medicinal. Yeah, we hope uh, all the audience can get benefit from this discussion. And if you have any question, you can ask to the presenter today. We have two presenters today. First, is Dr. Tan. Actually, I met her 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I and Bu Yayu come to the USM. We discussed a lot about collaboration, including research, and hopefully we can continue our collaboration to the more real, like joint research or joint publication. And the second one is actually is my lecturer when I was a student, Prof. Mini. I think this is all. Then I appreciate to the committee today, Bu Yayu, that makes everything done, and also Alvin as moderator. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Prof. Adi Darmawan, for that warm opening speech. Before we begin, I would like to introduce you the speaker. Our speaker for today, Professor Meni Suzeri from Chemistry Department Universitas Diponegoro, and chemist Dr. Tan Weni from University Science Malaysia. Okay, before we start, let me go over to this agenda. We'll begin their presentation. After that, we will open the floor for Q&A session. And finally, we will conclude with some closing remarks. Now, it's time to hear from our speaker. But before that, I will read her CV. She is a renowned expert on organic chemistry, especially natural products. Professor Meni Suzeri from Department of Chemistry, Faculty of Science and Mathematics, Universitas Diponegoro, Indonesia. Research interests of Prof. Meni Suzeri are natural products, herbal medicine, natural medicine, and with the total number of citation publication, uh, 985 by Google Scholar, and 471 by ResearchGate and 332 by Scopus, and H index 16 by Google Scholar and 10 by Scopus. With total publication 114 by Google Scholar and 42 by ResearchGate and 39 by Scopus. Professor Manny Sudari holds a Bachelor of Science in University of Andalas in 1981 to 1984 and Master of Science in Chemistry Bandung Institute of Technology in 1986 to 1989 and PhD program in Diponegoro University in 2006 to 2011. And next, she has publication including binding affinities of heptolate and its derivative onto HDAC class 2A protein from in silico analysis published in Engineering Pathway. And the second publication, effect of paraquat toxicity on lung and kidney organ on histopathological image assessment published in Bali Medical Journal, and impact of fermentation on heptolate and phytochemical composition of Piptis pectinita poet published in Journal Kimia Science and Aplikasi. And the last publication is application of bioinformatic analysis to identify important pathway and have change in breast cancer effective by HER2, published in International Journal of Cell and Biomedical Science. Without further ado, I would like to invite Professor Manny Sudari about topic Piptis pectinita poet as a model for innovation and development in organic chemistry of natural product. Professor Manny Sudari, the screen is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Alvin, for the opportunity. Okay. Sorry. Just a moment, Mr. Alvin.
Yes, good.
Ini dikecilin gimana? Oke, I'm sorry. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good afternoon, distinguished participant of the webinar series on chemistry hosted by Diponegoro University and University Science Malaysia. Just 3 weeks ago, I had the honor of visiting University Sabah, Malaysia, and has invited speaker for the International Colloquium in Medical Biotechnology. My presentation there focused on the potential of herbal medicine is a case study of Piptis plant research. I'm pleased to join you in a discussion of Hyptis pectinata poet as a model for innovation and development of organic chemistry of natural products with a particular emphasis on development of anti-cancer agents. In advance, why these research methods? One, the significance of this study lies in the potential breakthroughs it offers for natural product-based anti-cancer treatment. The second, our focus today will be on the innovative application and the learning potential from Hyptis pectinata research. Let's explore the journey of scientific discovery and innovation together. Plants have been central to the traditional medicine for centuries and are renowned for their rich production of secondary metabolites. These metabolites often contain unique and high valuable biological properties, ranging from anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, antioxidant, and anti-cancer activity. The exploration of plants for medicinal purpose presents a powerful approach to uncovering biological active compound with distinctive mechanism of action that can target specific cellular processes. Such discovery not only contribute to the advancement of natural product chemistry, but also open new pathway for developing innovative therapies in modern medicine. Now, how natural product research have worked? How do researchers in natural product work to uncover new therapeutic compounds? This is my roadmap in Diponegoro University, especially Department of Chemistry, Faculty Science and Mathematics. Roadmap in organic chemistry of natural product from plant to production. Today, I like to walk you through fascinating journey of how we transform natural product into therapeutic compounds, a process that starts with the plant and ends with real-world application. First, we begin by selecting promised plants. This choice is guided by traditional knowledge and scientific insight, giving us a strong foundation to identify plants with high potential. These plants that undergo a series of processes, drying, extraction, isolation, to obtain bioactive compound. Next, we conduct detailed activity and toxicity tests to assess their therapeutic potential. When we isolate pure compounds, we analyze their structure, activity, relationship, or SAR, which allows us to understand how the chemical structure affects their biological impact. With promising results, we move on to formulation and standardization It's a critical step to ensure the compound stability and effectiveness. Finally, these standardized products advance to pilots, plan development, and eventual production, allowing us to bring laboratory discover with practical therapeutic application. Through the roadmap, my roadmap, we can see the meticulous process that bring a natural product from the field to forefront of medicine. Now, the chemical study on my focus, the chemical study on Hyptis pectinata. In this study, our focus is on Hyptis pectinata as our primary research object. The first, my research. Now, for its medicinal properties, Hyptis pectinata offer of bioactive compound that particularly promising in development of therapeutic agents. By studying this plant, we aim to explore its potential in creating new treatment, especially in the realm of anti-cancer compound. But why? Let's take a closer look at Hyptis pectinata point. The focus of our chemical study, this plant belong the family Lamiaceae and is commonly found in tropical regions. In Indonesia, Hyptis pectinata grow wild and uncultivated, making it easy to access and collect for research purpose. But why I'm choose Hyptis pectinata? Its evidence in the wild, coupled with the rich bioactive compound type typical of Lamiaceae family, makes it a highly promising subject. By studying this easily accessible plant, we aim to uncover valuable insight and potential therapeutic application. Now, let's discuss the potential of alpha beta unsaturated delta lactone as anti-cancer agent. Focusing on specific compound is heptolate from Hyptis pectinata. One notable compound is Heptolida, is alpha beta unsaturated lactone or sesquiterpene lactone that has shown promising bioactivity. Study research from Zhang et al. In 2005, the anti-cancer potential as of sesquiterpene lactone like is hyporticin. The same framework that heptolite from Hyptis pectinata. Additionally, a recent study my team examined the anti-proliferative and apoptosis effect of heptolite, specifically on human breast cancer cell line. Our finding cytotoxicity activity indicating that heptolite could be a valuable candidate for further anti-cancer research. Overall, the lactone or alpha beta unsaturated tertalate derived derivat from Hyptis pectinata present a compelling area of study for their anti-cancer properties, paving the way for future research and therapeutic development. This is the methodology of isolation of organic compound from Hyptis pectinata. We conduct the isolation hydrolyte, so process maceration with ethanol, and this initial step yield crude ethanol extract. To further purity the compound, we employ two-phase extraction technique followed by recrystallization step. This meticulous process results in the formation of wild needle-shaped crystal, achieve yield 1.7%. This successful isolation not only highlight the efficacy of our extraction method, but also lays the groundwork for subsequent study on the bioactivity and therapeutic potential of my pure compound of hydrolyte. The analysis of the purity of isolate compound assessed using data from TLC and XPLC. In this analysis, appearance of single absorption peak indicates that my crystal are pure. This chromatographic technique provides essential insight into the purity and composition of the compound, allowing us to confirm the successful isolation of pure compound of hydrolyte. The rapid assessment is crucial for ensuring that the compound meet the necessary standard for further research and the potential therapeutic application. And next, we focus the structure determination of isolate pure compound. To elucidate the structure of the pure compound, we use various spectroscopy methods, include UV, IR, mass spec, and NMR. UV spectroscopy was employed to access the extent of conjunction in the compound. In contrast with IR spectroscopy to identify functional group present in the compound. The mass spec analysis insight into the molecular weight atau berat molekul ya, and CNMR and proton NMR spectroscopy were used to predict the chemical environment of the hydrogen and carbon atom within the molecule. This we use 4 spectroscopy technique. We were able to propose the structure of the isolate compound conform into its hydrolyte. This comprehensive analysis underscored the importance of spectroscopy method in the structure elucidation of natural product, contributing significantly to our understanding of their chemical characteristics. Next, I would like to discuss the synthesis of hydrolyte derivative. our effort to create the new compound derived from haptolite, including hydroboration, epoxidation with metachloroperbenzoate acid, or oxidation of and hydrolysis. This reaction demonstrate our commitment to exploring the chemical versatility of haptolite, the potential of developing novel derivatives that may possess and enhance biological activity. Now, let's examine the biological activity of the extract Hyptis pectinata point. We conduct the toxicity test on BSLT, brain shrimp lethality test, to assess the overall toxicity of the samples. The result of the toxicity test for its extract as summarized in the combining table. The data present in the table, the ethyl acetate extract exhibited the high toxicity, followed by the other fraction. This finding provide valuable insight into the potential toxic effect of the extract and highlight the significance of Hyptis pectinata as a subject for furthermore pharmacological investigation. Next, I would like to discuss the inhibitory effect of Hyptis pectinata extract on, I use breast cancer cell line cancer. Our incubation study, 24, 48, and 72 hours, revealed the extract significantly suppresses cell proliferation with ICVT value at 42, 13, 30, and 17 ppm respectively. Interestingly, we use Hyptis pectinata extract for 48 and 72 hour, result in notable decrease in cell viability in the MCF7 breast cancer cell line. This find indicate that Hyptis pectinata possesses anti-proliferation activity and suggests the potential application in drug design in Indonesia. This research highlights the possibility of developing new compounds that may have fewer side effects compared to conventional chemotherapy, offering promising avenue for cancer treatment. In this study, also focus of isolate from pure compound of haptolite. We use the same cell line cancer MCF7 cell. Give IC50 78.78 and T40D cell IC50 at 181.55 ppm. When haptolite was present in the medium for 48 and 72 hours is result in significant suppression of cell proliferation, demonstrating strong cytotoxic activity in dose and time-dependent manner on MCF7 cell lines cancer. These findings underscore the potential of heptolite as effective agents in targeting breast cancer cells, wanting further investigation into the mechanism of action, heptolite, and therapeutic application. We introduced to chemotherapy agent for inhibiting breast cancer cell proliferation. The concept of natural chemotherapy focus of compound derived from natural source to enhance efficacy while reducing the side effect associated with conventional chemical agents. Further investigation into the cytotoxic mechanism of heptolite include observe its ability to induce apoptosis. We use double staining, acridine, orange, and ethidium bromide to identify apoptosis cells and differentiate between early and late stage of apoptosis based on the membrane integrity. This exploration of heptolite effect of physiological change, particularly at its impacts on apoptosis profile, is illustrated in a combining feature. This find highlight the potential heptolite in cancer therapy and warrants further research into mechanism and application in treating breast cancer. And I want to talk about organic chemistry. How about organic chemistry research on the other plants? For example, we use Purwochang plant. Is known as the name of Purwochang is Pimpinella alpinamol. This is the medicinal plant endemic from central of Java. This plant is well known for its traditional use to enhancing male vitality. Research suggests this stigmasterol compound found in Purwochang may play a significant role in this activity as its precursor in formation of the testosterone. This is indicate the Purwochang is of aphrodisiac. Okay, by studying plants like Purwochang, we can gain valuable insight into natural remedy that may contribute to health and wellness. Okay, the research has shown that the Purwochang extract increase of testosterone, LH, FSH in the use male Sprague-Dawley rats. Purwochang of several erectile function biomarker include eNOS, nNOS, and cGMP have been conducting in vivo using Sprague-Dawley rats. The high level of cGMP and most significant expression of eNOS and nNOS were observed after 30 days of treatment. This finding high Purwochang potential is supporting mild reproductive health, encourage further research into its efficacy and application in traditional and modern medicines. This is my product of Purwochang, Pimpinella alpina. This is my product Afrorectrofractum, is anti-carminative. Use Piper retrofractum in central of Java is named as Cabe Jawa. Locally named Cabe Jawa. Okay. Now let's discuss the formula involving Javanese long atau Piper, Cabe Jawa, Purwochang, and Kefir. Piper Jawa, Cabe Jawa, scientifically known as Piper retrofractum and belonging of Piperaceae family, is one of Indonesian traditional medicinal commodity. The primary secondary metabolite of this plant is piperin. Is an alkaloid compound known to improve erectile function. The combination of Cabe Jawa with Purwochang and Kefir might provide a synergistic effect, enhancing its potential benefit for mild vitality and reproductive health. This formula reflects the valuable integration of traditional knowledge and natural compound in developing effective and holistic health solution, especially for ini ya. Okay, let's take a closer look at the support of natural material chemistry for functional food, especially focusing of phycocyanin from Spiruna plantaceae. The phycocyanin is valuable compound with both nutritional and functional benefit, especially when incorporated into food product. Research showed that added Spirulina plantaceae powder at concentration of about 1% in soft cheese and 1.2% in ice cream can enhance both the nutrition value and sensory appeal of the product. Studies have demonstrated improvement in total solid, protein content, and melting properties, while the addition of phycocyanin contribute to the product functional benefit. This finding highlight the potential of phycocyanin as an ingredient in developing functional food, support health benefit, and enrich dietary intake with a natural nutrition-dense material. This exploration to functional food underscore the role of natural compound in enhancing food quality and nutritional impact. Because phycocyanin extraction from Spirulina plantaceae in enhanced using ultrasonic irradiation, which significantly reduce extraction time for 4 hours to 20 minutes. application of spirulina in food products such as ice cream, soft cheese, improve nutritional value while preserve bioactive compound to low processing temperature. And encapsulation technique using chitosan, further stability phycocyanin protect it from heat-induced degradation. Study also saw phycocyanin antioxidant activity improve with glucose addition and spirulina supplementation enhance nutritional profile and appeal of yogurt, giving it vibrant blue color. Ya, cantik sekali. That it's well received by consumer. The advancement highlights spirulina potential in functional food development. This is my beberapa ini presentasi kuliah umum. I have a book metode pemisahan bahan alam, and once 2020 I give LCMS spectroscopy and so on. This is my invited speaker snoring clothed in Malaysia, in Terengganu, Malaysia. And then Tridharma Higher Education collaboration with Faculty Science and Mathematics University Diponegoro and Biotechnology Research Institute BRI, Sabah, Malaysia. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The increasing demand for natural plant-based treatment in medicine has guided our research into unique plants with potential therapeutic benefit. One such plant, Hyptis pectinata point, has shown considerability promise as source of bioactive compound. Through extensive study, we have isolated compound like hyptolite demonstrating effective anti-cancer properties, particularly against breast cancer cell line. Hyptis pectinata serve as exceptional model for innovation in organic chemistry of natural product. Let us to explore method to of enhancing its efficacy, such through derivative and formulation. In closing, Hyptis pectinata point represents a valuable opportunity in the field of natural product design. The potential for plants to inspire and contribute to modern medicinal advancement. Through ongoing research and innovation, we can harness nature's resource to bring forward safer and more effective therapeutic options. Thank you for your attention and support in this endeavor. Thank you, Mr. Alvin.
Okay, thank you, Professor Manny Suzeri, for that informative presentation. Before entering the second speaker's presentation
Sorry, Mr. Alvin. Kebetulan saya ada kegiatan ini, Profesor Sapin in Surabaya. Saya minta izin karena ada kegiatan berikutnya. Sorry, everybody.
Okay. Professor Manny Suzeri, to all participants, don't forget to fill out the attendance link and open your camera for the documentation process.
Please chat me. I give for the question and answer with chatting. Sorry, saya mempunyai tugas selanjutnya. Thank you, Mr. Alvin.
Okay, no
I
problem.
leave the
Professor
I leave the
Menisari.
meeting, yeah. I leave the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, to all participants, if you have a question for Professor Menisari, you can contact direct contact by Professor Menisari. To in the next session, maybe open your camera for the documentation process by Bu Yayu or Mbak Silva. Mbak Silva or Bu Yayu.
Dulu atau masuk dulu, yang keluar dulu.
Okay. Mungkin maybe it's enough. Okay, now it's time to hear from our second speaker. She is also an expert in the field of natural product. Chemist Dr. Tan Winnie, Senior Lecturer in Chemical Science Program, School of Distance Education, University Science Malaysia. Research interest of Dr. Tan are natural product, plant essential oil, plant antimicrobials, nanoparticles, metabolomics, and the total number of citations 1,235 by Google Scholar and 920 by ResearchGate and 1,025 by Scopus. And H index 22 by Google Scholar and 18 by ResearchGate and 20 by Scopus. And total publication is 87 by Google Scholar and 83 by ResearchGate and 86 by Scopus. Dr. Tan holds a Bachelor of Science in University Science Malaysia in July 2006 until August 2009 and Doctor of Philosophy in University Science Malaysia December 2009 until February 2014. She has a professional experience including visiting lecture in Institut Teknologi 10 November. This is my institution when Bachelor of Science. And then visiting fellow in National Yangming University, Taiwan. And she has several awards, including Excellent Service Award, University Science Malaysia, Taiwan Fellowship Award from Republic of China or Taiwan, and Travel Grant Award Novo Nordisk Foundation from Denmark, and Excellent Service Award, University Science Malaysia. Professional membership, member in the Royal Society of Chemistry, United Kingdom, in 2018 until present, and member Malaysian Institute of Chemistry, 2017 until present. And she has several publications. Essential oil of Garcinia spp and their biological activities published in Malaysian Journal of Medicine and Health Science, and essential oil from traditional medicinal plants in Malaysia, a review on their traditional uses, bioactive constituent, and therapeutic potential. Okay, without further ado, I would like to invite chemist Dr. Tan Winnie to present about the topic essential oil research from medicinal plants in Malaysia. Dr. Tan Winnie, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Elvin. Can you see my slides?
Yes, the slide is
Is it in slideshow?
yes,
Yes,
this is
yes,
slideshow.
yes.
Yes.
Okay, okay, thank you. So shall I start now?
Yes, Dr. Tan. Start now.
Okay, so good afternoon everyone and selamat petang dari Malaysia. So first of all, thank you Mr. Elvin for the kind introduction. So I am Tan Verni from the Chemical Sciences Program School of Distance Education, University Science Malaysia. So before I start, I would like to thank the Chemistry Department, Faculty of Science and Mathematics, UNDIP, for organizing this joint webinar series on chemistry between USM and UNDIP. So in my presentation today on essential oil research from medicinal plants in Malaysia, I will share some of my research on essential oils derived from traditional Malaysian medicinal plants. Okay, so it is estimated that 1/3 of all plant-derived drugs on the market today have their origins in plant taxa found within a tropical rainforest. So in fact, tropical rainforests are among the most biodiverse ecosystems on the planet, having a wide array of plant species. So the rich biodiversity of these forests has made them invaluable resources for drug discovery and development. So it's known that the bridge between the medicinal plants and the modern pharmacopoeia is built on the ethnobotanical knowledge. So ethnobotanical knowledge has been practiced among the locals based on their traditional belief and also culture. So it covers a wide range of practices, including plant identification, harvesting techniques, preparation methods, and also medicinal applications. So generally, the local communities utilize traditional medicinal plants for dietary, healing, and also medicinal purposes. So for example, herbs such as basil and also oregano are not only used for their aromatic flavors, but also used for their digestive, anti-inflammatory, and also antimicrobial properties. So Malaysia is a country located in Southeast Asia with equatorial climate. So we have a high temperature and humidity over the year. And Malaysia is recognized as one of the richest sources of traditional medicinal plants. So this biodiverse ecosystem covers huge areas across the Malaysian Peninsula and also the islands of Borneo. So we have a wide variety of plants species, and many of them have been used for centuries by the indigenous people and also local communities for their medicinal properties. Okay, so Malaysia is known for its rich biodiversity. So with its tropical climate, Malaysia provides an ideal habitat for thousands of plant species. So approximately 2,000 medicinal plant species have been documented in Malaysia, representing a diverse array of botanical families, genera, and also habitats. So these plants cover a wide range of medicinal uses, including treatments for common ailments, chronic diseases, and also cultural practice. So Malaysia's flora has actually attracted the interest of researchers due to their pharmacological potential. So studies have revealed that the presence of bioactive compounds in many traditional medicinal plants demonstrating promising therapeutic effects against a wide range of health conditions, including infectious disease, chronic ailments, and also degenerative disorders.
Kemarin yang berhasil tuh bagus banget. Itu mama.
So in the Malaysia's flora has a collection of traditional medicinal plants. So the common ones including members of the Gingiberaceae, Cruciaceae, and also Piperaceae families. So the Gingiberaceae family, or known as the ginger family, is well represented in traditional Malaysian medicine. So the first one, Gingiber officinale, or known as the ginger family, is widely used to alleviate digestive issues, including nausea, indigestion, and also flatulence. So in fact, ginger is popularly used in local community for treating cold. So next, curcuma longa or turmeric. So it is known as kunyit in Malay. So it's used in traditional remedies to promote wound healing and to relieve pain. So then we have this Alpinia galanga or galanga. So it's used to treat gastrointestinal issues such as bloating, stomach cramps, and also diarrhea. So next we have the Cruciaceae family, also known as the mangosteen family. So key medicinal plants from this family include Garcinia mangostana, or known as mangosteen. So this plant is very famous. So it's very antioxidant rich fruit. So commonly used in traditional medicine to promote skin health and to boost immunity and to alleviate some digestive disorder. So another species here, Garcinia atroviridis, or known as asam grugor in Malay. So this fruit is used as a souring agent in Malaysian cuisine such as laksa, and also used in traditional medicine. So the plant is believed to help in digestion, to reduce appetite, and to support body weight loss. So next we have this Piperaceae family, or known as the pepper family. So Pipersametosum, or known as this wild bitter leaf. So it's used for its anti-inflammatory and also analgesic properties. So this plant is commonly consumed as a salad green or brew into herbal teas to relieve pain and also inflammation. So next, pepper nigrum or black pepper. So this one is also widely used in culinary spice and also for some medicinal properties in digestion, stimulate appetite, and also some respiratory symptoms. So what are essential oils? So essential oils are plants' essence. So they are aromatic volatile liquids obtained from various parts of plants, such as leaf, flower, fruit, seed, peel, bark, root, or rhizome. So they comprise a complex mixture of polar, semipolar, and non-polar constituents at various concentrations. So essential oils are characterized by a strong odor due to the presence of specific aromatic constituents. So for example, essential oils such as lavender, so it's known for its potent aroma because it's due to its major compound, linalool. So essential oils are well known as a source of bioactive constituents. They possess a significant biological activity such as insecticidal, antimicrobial, antioxidant, anti-allergic, and anti-cancer. So globally, the production of essential oils is constantly increased due to increasing consumer demand for natural and also plant-based products. So one factor contributing to the increased production of essential oils is the growing awareness of their potential health benefits and also versatility. So according to statistics, the global essential oils market is projected to be worth about USD 15 billion by 2027 in terms of value during the forecast period. So for example, the use of essential oils in aromatherapy has gained attention as people seek natural remedies for stress relief, for relaxation, and also for emotional well-being. So for example, essential oils such as lavender or even peppermint are always used for their calming and also for their refreshing effects. So to date, essential oils have been used in various applications such as pharmaceutical, medical, cosmetic, food, flavor, and also fragrance. So for example, essential oils are key components in perfumery and also fragrance formulations. So they are used in many ways, like in perfumes, body sprays, and also home fragrances to create a wide range of olfactory experiences, such as from floral and fruity to woody and spicy. So we know that lavender has attracted significant attention due to their cultivation for essential oils. So in fact, the lavender essential oils contain a number of bioactive constituents, including linalool and also linalool acetate as their major constituents, and it also has other constituents like alpha-tyrosine and also alpha-pinene. So mainly its constituents are terpenoids. So not to say this lavender essential oil, many studies have been shown that this lavender oil has various pharmacological properties, including antimicrobial, antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and many more. So as such, essential oils can be said have gained significant scientific interest, as shown by this growing number of research articles available on PubMed. So we can see that the numbers have steadily increased over the years. Since the data was retrieved up to this morning, so the year 2024 is not considered in full. So in fact, these articles explore various aspects of essential oils, including their therapeutic properties, potential health benefits, and applications in aromatherapy and also alternative medicine. So the increasing number of scientific literature on essential oils not only highlights their growing popularity, but also highlights their potential to offer novel therapeutic strategies. So this table shows the major chemical constituents and also biological activities of essential oils from some traditional medicinal plants in Malaysia. So if we look at the content in general, their chemical constituents are comprised mainly terpenes. So these terpenes are a large and diverse class of organic compounds commonly found in many plants, and they often contribute to the characteristic aroma and also the therapeutic potential of the essential oils. So these essential oils exhibit various biological activity that contribute to their therapeutic potential. So for example, some essential oils may have antibacterial effects against bacteria, so making them useful for treating some bacteria-related infections. So, for example, do you know what is this? So, have you seen this before? This is common, right? Lemongrass. So, we know that this lemongrass oil. So, lemongrass oil is used extensively as a natural mosquito repellent. So, due to its high content of citra. So, this major compound in lemongrass oil, citra. So, this citra can help to cover up the smell or the odor that a mosquito use to locate their host. such as the carbon dioxide and also lactic acid. So humans, so we secrete both carbon dioxide and also lactic acid. So mosquito rely on this signal to find us. So by masking this smell or odors by using the lemongrass oil, so this can prevent a mosquito from locating us. Okay, so in this sharing, I will focus primarily on Garcinia plants from Malaysia. So I know that Indonesia also hosts quite a number of Garcinia species. So the genus Garcinia belongs to the family of Gluciaceae and is known for its significant medicinal value. So Garcinia is not confined to only one region, but span across multiple continents, including Africa, Asia, Australia, Central America, Madagascar, and also Polynesia. So with over 400 species, Garcinia represents a huge collection of trees and also small bushes. So each species of a Garcinia has its own unique set of characteristics and also uses. So Malaysia is home to about 49 species of Garcinia. So among the Garcinia species found in Malaysia, some notable ones include Garcinia atroviridis, Garcinia bancana, Garcinia cova, Garcinia daucis, Garcinia forbesi, Celebica mangostana, perenniana, and also Gamiguta. So I will share some findings on the chemical profiles and also the biological activity of the essential oils from these three species, Garcinia atroviridis, Garcinia celebica, and also Garcinia gamiguta. So first, Garcinia atroviridis. So this plant is used locally to treat stomach pain, throat irritations, and also some hair problems. So the fruits are acidic, and it occasionally mixed with vinegar in lotion for postpartum women. So while the leaves are used in culinary or sometimes made into juices to consume by women after childbirth. Next, this Garcinia celebica, or previously known as Garcinia humbroniana. So this plant is native to Malaysia with some edible fruits. So traditionally, the root decoction is used to heal the infections, while the leaves are used to relieve itching. So next, Garcinia gamiguta, or previously known as Garcinia cambogia. So this plant is used to treat hemorrhoid and also menstrual-related problems, constipation, rheumatism, edema, and also some intestinal infections. So the fruit is used locally as a condiment, and sometimes the fruits are mixed with salt to cure the fish. So based on our findings, the essential oils from Garcinia atroviridis, so mainly comprise of beta-caryophyllene alcohol, alpha-humulene, and also palmitic acid. So with regard to this leaf essential oil, so it gave an oil rich in sesquiterpenes, so dominating by trans-beta-farnesene and also beta-caryophyllene. Meanwhile, for this stem bark oil, fatty acid was the dominant chemical class, so largely due to palmic oleic acid and also palmitic acid. So next, we also investigated the essential oil from the leaf of Garcinia celebica and also Garcinia gamiguta. So in Garcinia celebica, alpha-copane, germacrin D, and also beta-caryophyllene were predominated, while in the leaf of this Garcinia gumigota, it comprised mainly beta-caryophyllene and trans-beta farnesene. So we can conclude that sesquiterpene is dominant in the essential oils from these three species of Garcinia, with beta-caryophyllene as the significant compound. So in fact, this beta-caryophyllene is an interesting compound found in many plants with many biological properties, such as anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, antimicrobial, analgesic, gastroprotective, and also neuroprotective effects. So for the biological evaluations, I will share some findings from the essential oils from Garcinia atroviridis against the breast cancer cells, specifically MCF7 cells. So based on our findings, the leaf essential oils from this from the leaf of Garcinia atroviridis show an IC50 of 71 microgram per ml. So in this study, MCF7 breast cancer cells were further treated with the leaf essential oils with tamoxifen, and also the combination of the leaf essential oil and tamoxifen for the treatment period of 24, 48, and 72 hours. So if we look at the figures, first we look at the tamoxifen. So it caused a dose-dependent cytotoxicity, where we can say that the cytotoxic effect, more than 90%, only occurred at concentration 50 micromolar and above. Right. So here from the third bar, from 50 until 100 micromolar. So if looking at 10 micromolar, the first bar, tamoxifen alone did not elicit any significant cytotoxic effects on MCF7 cells, while about 30% of growth inhibition was observed when the concentration is at 25 micromolar. Okay, now if we look at the combination treatment, the blue arrows, so we can see that it induced more self-death than the treatment with tamoxifen alone, particularly at lower doses, right? So if we look at this red arrow, the combined treatment of tamoxifen at 10 micromolar with the leaf essential oils had induced about 40% of growth inhibition within 72 hours of treatment. So similarly, the treatment with 25 micromolar of tamoxifen in the presence of the leaf essential oil had killed about more than 80% of MCF7 cells after 72 hours of treatment. So this data demonstrated that the leaf essential oils combination treatment had reduced the dosage of the tamoxifen to inhibit the growth of MCF7 breast cancer cells as compared to tamoxifen alone. So in the mitochondrial membrane potential assay, the MMP assay, so the fluorescence ratio allow us to make comparative measurements of the membrane potential and determine the percentage of mitochondria that respond to the treatment. So looking at the figures, the left one is for the untreated cancer cells. So it shows a higher percentage of polarized cells, indicate that the mitochondria are in an energized state with a polarized membrane. So this suggests that the control cells are healthy in the analysis. So the second one is with the treatment with the leaf essential oil. So the leaf are mostly depolarized shown by this green fluorescence. So this indicate the loss of mitochondrial membrane potential. Even though we can see a small percentage of cells remain polarized, the red one, but not many. So in the combination treatment, this figure, combination treatment between the leaf essential oil and also the tamoxifen. So we can see that there is almost a complete disruption of the mitochondrial membrane. So indicating apoptotic cells. So in fact, further studies are in progress to substantiate the potential use of Garcinia atroviridis leaf essential oils in breast cancer. And not only from this species, similar investigations are also underway for the leaf essential oils from other Garcinia species. So in summary, our study highlights the pharmacological potential of essential oils along with their volatile chemical constituents. So essential oils from these plants contain diverse volatile chemical constituents, with terpenes being predominant. So in this regard, the Garcinia species, which are known for their medicinal properties, are dominated with sesquiterpenes. So the findings highlight the therapeutic potential of Garcinia leaf essential oils, suggesting their role as promising agents in pharmaceutical applications. So even though essential oils possess a wide range of bioactivity, but their use is often limited by their instability, insolubility, volatility, and other factors. So, for example, essential oils subjected to different storage conditions such as variations in light and also temperature may experience changes in their physical chemical properties and also in their chemical composition. So another issue is also oxidation. So for example, monoterpenes. So monoterpenes in essential oils, they are prone to oxidation upon exposure to the air. So at room temperature with high humidity, they might react with oxygen in the air to produce new substances. So in fact, these problems can impact the effectiveness of essential oils. So in order to address these problems, innovative formulations. So these formulation techniques can be used to enhance the stability and also the bioavailability of essential oils and to maximize their therapeutic benefits. So I hope to present more on this topic in maybe in the future webinar, maybe next year. Okay, so that's all from me. Thank you for your attention. So if you would like to learn more about the essential oils from Malaysia, please contact me. Once again, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Tan, for your insightful presentation. I'm sure our presentation has learned a lot from you today. Now it's time to open the floor for Q&A session. Please raise your hand or type your question in the chat box, and we will call you on in order. And then please also state your name and affiliation before asking your question. Or maybe Prof. Bambang have the question.
I'm going to
Okay.
ask
Mr.
Alvin, moderator.
Yes.
Okay, I want to ask to Dr. Tan. Hello, Dr. Tan.
Hi, Dr. Yayut.
Okay. Nice to see you again here, yeah. Okay, nice presentation, Dr. Tan. In the how to say like the essential oil was applied to how to say to combat cancer cell, right? And then in the data, you show that when the essential oil is mixed with the tamoxifen, is it tamoxifens?
Yes.
So the results of the cancer cell will reduce very significant. Maybe you can how to say like explain what actually happened. Why when both of them is mixed together, the decreasing of cancer cell is very huge compared to when only essential oil or only tamoxifen. Okay, thank you, Dr. Tan.
Okay, so we know that tamoxifen is the standard drug used to treat the cancer cells. So in our study, our leaf essential oils is also inhibiting the growth of cancer cells. So we might think that these two, the combination of these two may increase the cytotoxicity. So, in order to reduce the side effect of the tamoxifen, so we try to combine the leaf essential oils with tamoxifen with a aim that to decrease the dosage of the tamoxifen. So surprisingly, the combination of the leaf essential oil from this plant together with the tamoxifen had reduced significantly the growth of the cancer cells.
Okay, thank you. Is there any like a mechanism or probably like a chemical mechanism? Is there? I'm not
For
okay.
mechanisms,
Yeah.
we are still studying.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
We do not know which pathway this combination of treatment may induce the death of the
The cell,
cancer
cancer
cells.
cell, yeah.
Hmm.
Mhm. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Tan.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, yuk.
yeah. Thank you. Maybe one question to actually I want to ask Professor Manny. I don't think Professor Bambang is here. Hello, Prof. Bambang. I want to ask something. Halo.
It's okay.
Okay. Uh,
Dr. Tan. Yeah.
Hi, Prof. Bambang.
yeah,
Nice to
I'm
meet
sorry,
you
because
here.
Bu Meni from Surabaya, OTW.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
Dr. Tan, actually, Prof. Manny is on official duty as well in
Oh,
Surabaya. So,
Oh.
oh.
oh yeah, so she leave early, but I think Prof. Bambang also Prof. Manny works on the same topic in natural product. So maybe in the near future you can how to say like make a collaboration as well. Prof.
Yeah.
Manny and Prof. Bambang also visited University Sabah, Malaysia for several
Mm.
times, Dr. Tan. So probably next time, Prof. Bambang and Prof. Memi can visit USM
Yes,
also to
yeah,
see
Prof.
Dr. Tan.
Bambang and Prof. Manny should come to USM
Yeah.
next time.
Yeah.
Actually, I
Kapan-kapan.
also have a question for Prof. Manny, but unfortunately, she left earlier.
Yeah. Maybe
Uh-huh.
you can just send to how to select in the chat room. I will send to her, or maybe you can ask to Prof. Prof. Bambang is fine, Dr. Tan.
Ask to Prof. Bambang.
Mm.
Okay, actually, I'm wondering, just now when Prof. Manny was presenting on this Hyptis,
Itomet.
I forgot the
Yeah, yeah,
species name, the Hyptis.
Pekinata. Yeah.
yeah.
So the extracts that Sri
Stigmata.
was tested did not include the water extract. So I'm wondering why a water extract is not included in the toxicity test.
Hmm.
Eh, Bagaimana ini tentang, I'm
Eh,
sorry.
itu Prof. Bambang kan di
Hmm.
presentasinya Bu Meni
Bu
tadi
Meni,
itu
ya.
Beliau itu
ethanol.
tidak ada ekstrak ya, tidak ada ekstrak
Yes.
water untuk apa
Yeah.
namanya? Untuk diuji
Mm.
toksisitasnya. Mengapa?
Yeah,
Kenapa yang
yeah.
diuji itu yang ekstrak metanol?
Yes, yes.
Ya.
I think so. We focus on heptolite, Dr. Tan. Heptolite not soluble in water. So I compare with extract in ethanol and fraction dan juga heptolite pure compound. Okay.
So heptolite is
Heptolite not soluble
isolated.
in water.
So it's isolated from which extract?
I'm sorry.
The heptolite is isolated from which extract?
Iya, Pak
Yes.
Bambang yang
Et-
oke, so ya
Hmm.
oke. Mendengar ya
Yeah.
Pak? Mendengar ya, oke.
Yeah. Ethanol extract.
Ethanol.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We compare ethanol, aceton, dichloromethan, and hexane. The major product heptolate and ethanol is majority. Yeah.
So
And
no detection in water extract.
water extract is not soluble for only 6% maybe.
6%.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. How much is the yield of this heptolite in ethanol extract?
13%.
How many yield?
Yeah.
How many can be isolated from ethanol extract?
Sangat mudah, very not difficult. You extract and then you hilangkan klorofilnya, by extraction, and then you have a crude extract and crude powder like that, and then you recrystallization by hexane and chloroform. You have a crystal heptolite. Very simple.
Oh,
Dr. Tan. Yeah.
I saw the slide.
I have many crystals. Yeah.
Oh, I
You can,
see.
yeah.
A
You can
lot
come
because
here.
I see on the slide is a lot. It's a lot on
Yeah.
this pure compound.
Ya. Datang sini aja.
Ya, Dr. Tan, maybe next time you can visit here and meet Prof. Bambang to see
Yeah,
the
to
Hyptis
see how
crystal.
the research team isolated so many of these pure compound.
This is interesting because
Yeah.
alpha beta unsaturated delta lacton,
Yes,
Dr.
yes.
Tan. Ya. Okay, ya. Saya tunggu Dr. Tan ke Semarang.
Yeah, sure. Hopefully next year.
Okay. Yeah, Pak Bambang, I have one question.
Yeah.
Prof. Meni in her slide presentation mentioned about the porwatching is aphrodisiac. I was working on porwatching as well under your supervision and also Prof. Meni when I was undergrad. Actually, when somebody like a drink porwatching, when somebody drink porwatching, is it for the aphrodisiac properties will directly how to say like apakah itu langsung
Putus-putus,
akan
Bang. Iya.
berefek? Oh, putus-putus.
Iya.
The effect of aphrodisiac properties of the porwatching will be directly to be shown by someone when someone drink the plant or not, when somebody drink the porwatching, or need to like waiting for like 1 hour, 3 hours, or 6 hours, something like that.
Different between dysfunction erection and estrogen or testosterone. Yeah, it's different. Yeah, aphrodisiac is meningkatkan testosterone, not CGMP for function erectile. Yeah, erectile dysfunction. It's different. Yeah. only aphrodisiac. Aphrodisiac is
To increase the
meningkatkan
testosterone.
testosteron. Yeah,
Oh, okay, the testosterone
yeah,
numbers lah ya. Oh, so
yeah,
meaning that
yeah.
if we, sorry, there's so many students, but I think this is education, right? So meaning that if we want to like increase the erection, so we have to use another herbal, ya.
Yeah, paper retrofactum. You have a
Okay.
Tan?
Oh,
Dr. Tan have paper retrofactum, paper longum. This is for dysfunction erection, Dr. Tan.
yeah, this is education, ya. I mean, no apa
Ya,
ya?
ya,
In
ya, ya, ya,
Indonesia
ya,
is no taboo,
ya,
right? Okay.
ya,
Okay,
nggak apa-apa.
thank you, Prof. Bambang. Okay, back to you, moderator, Pak Alvin.
Okay, thank you for Dr. Tan and Prof. Bambang to excellent answer. Maybe to all participants, any question? Okay, I have several questions for Dr. Tan. In general, what are some of the current trends in essential oil research from medicinal plants in Malaysia? How do you see the future of this field in the next?
Okay, thank you for the question. In fact, essential oils has always been a focal point for many researchers. But of course, we need to have some standardization. So this is what always natural product chemists face this issue. I guess Prof. Bambang also know about this. So plants from different locations tend to give a different chemical composition. So this is why we always need to do standardization. So the trend is increasing, but we need to solve the problem of this chemical profile. So this is why we want to confirm that the marker compound. So if let's say we can identify the marker compounds from this plant, so we collect the plants from different locations, at least we know the quantification, the amount of this marker compound in that particular plant. So and another issue is on stability. So what we need to solve on this essential oil stability is another issue also. So this is why it comes with many formulations technique. So used to encapsulate the essential oils to improve its stability and also solubility. So we know that this oil is not soluble in water. So in order for it to be to use in some medicinal applications, so we need to solve these solubility issues.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Tan. Maybe from participant, any question? Okay, maybe it's enough. Thank you for the speaker, Prof. Manny Suzeri and Dr. Tan. I'm sure our participant has gained a lot of valuable insight from you today. Before we close this session, let me briefly summarize the main point and takeaways for our speaker. The first presentation from Prof. Manny Suzeri focused on Heptis Pectinate Point as a valuable model for innovation in organic chemistry, highlighting its unique bioactive compounds and their potential therapeutic uses. Prof. Manny Suzeri discussing the characterization of bioactive compound from Heptis Pectinate, such as infrared, SNMR, and until biological activities of Heptis Pectinate, such as PSLT. And Prof. Manny Suzeri explained about benefit of Purwocheng, this plant endemic in Central Java, and explain about functional food of phycocyanin. And the second presentation addressed essential oil research from medicinal plant in Malaysia. such as Cyniberaceae, Clusiaceae, Garcinia, and Piperaceae family. Maybe this webinar came to an end. As the moderator, I apologize for any errors occurred during the discussion. Thank you very much, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.